Good evening, everybody. My name's Paul Griffiths, and welcome to Photography Live and Uncut. Got a great show lined up for you this evening. Some really good friends of mine, which we've met one another quite a few times on street walkabouts, and that's what the conversation tonight is going to be all about. Going out, meeting friends, and taking photographs as you walk around the streets of any given city. So it's going to be a quick introduction to everyone. One's a very familiar face. You've seen him before on my show, but I'm going to leave him till last. So Katie Memon, welcome to my show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
No worries at all. Whereabouts are you based, Katie? Whereabouts in this beautiful land do you live?
I live in St Albans, Hertfordshire.
Lovely, lovely part of the country. Next to the left is Joseph Z. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Hi.
And whereabouts are you based, Joseph?
I'm North London, Woodside Park.
Right, okay.
In Barnet.
So you can get into London nice and easy like me.
Oh, yes.
Brilliant.
45 minutes.
Fantastic, fantastic. And finally, Peter Kelly. Peter, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi.
Hi there. Whereabouts are you based,
Ealing
Peter?
Common. Ealing Common.
Right, okay. Just getting a little bit of a cut out there as you're talking, but we got an idea where you are. So, as I said, the last person to introduce, good friend of mine, Michael Rommel. Michael.
Good evening, guys. How is everyone doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And believe it or not, this guy's still in the office,
Yeah.
but he's not working.
I've got to get the well. This is work. This is work now. I've got to get some tea from the family at home.
Exactly right.
I usually do my broadcast and podcast from home, but today the family just aren't going to give me the piece I need at home to sit here and give you all the information you need from me. So
exactly right.
Peace and quiet. Yeah. So.
And the main thing, of course, we've got to remember is that Michael is host and editor, blogger, and group organizer for Ready Steady Pro, which, as it turned out, was the walkabout that we went on last time, and we came up with this idea after a nice walk to do this show and just to talk about why we enjoy street
red wine. We decided to do that.
Yeah, the red wine did flow indeed. Why we enjoy street photography so much. So let's. I think one of our. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I am gonna ask Katie first because I think she's probably a new convert to street photography. Would I be right there, Katie?
Yes and no.
Right.
I think I've always been a bit of a street photographer.
Yeah.
But I've only really gotten into it seriously in the last few years. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it about street photography that you enjoy so much?
I get lost. I just get lost in the moment. I just kind of really enjoy using my instincts. I just see moments that I want to capture. I see things that other people don't notice. And I love just coming back and looking at what I've captured and remembering, you know, because I forget what I've taken sometimes, and then I come back and oh yeah, I got that. That's a brilliant shot. So yeah, it's just kind of like that, the spontaneity of it, and every time you go out, you get something different.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a very good point.
London, even if I've never, you know, I've been to London so many times and shot there so many times, and every time I come back with a completely different set of photographs, which I love.
Yeah, you do. That's very true. London is changes so rapidly, and I think it's just fantastic the way London has developed, and because when you go out, even it raining, there's so many people around, isn't there? Peter,
well, I lived there as well for 8 years, so I kind of know it like the back of my hand. So I feel very comfortable in London.
Yes, that's true, and that's the main thing I think when you're doing street photography. You feel comfortable, you're relaxed, you can start taking images. And away you go. Peter, what about street photography for your good self? Is it a new thing for you, or have you always been involved with street?
Since I've been taking pictures, probably about 5 years, I do now and again. Sometimes I take my camera out and I never take a photograph.
Yeah.
Now it comes out of the bag. So, but I think it's more of a group activity, like with the walks with yourself, Michael, everybody.
Yeah.
I prefer that actually. Than being a lone wolf.
Yeah, I think I know where you're coming from actually, because I've been talking to some people recently about doing street photography on their own, and some people love it because they don't like the interference of being involved and getting involved in conversation. Michael and I had this conversation talk when we were on our last walk. How many images have you taken? And he said, no, I've been talking too much, but we'll come to Michael about that later. And So, with regards to your style in regards to street photography, what are you looking for when you go out, Peter? Are you just looking for that, capturing that moment like Katie, or is there a specific style that you're looking to produce?
I must admit, I prefer taking pictures of objects,
right,
rather than people, or if it could be a person interacting with an object, then like somebody having a cup of coffee. That doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm sometimes intruding on people.
Interesting you say that when you consider the other interest in photography with your, well, that you get into your modelling photography that you take a lot of photographs of models. Is that why you don't want to take people in your streets?
It could be. I mean, it's completely different mindset with a model, of course. And to be honest, I think I'd rather take a picture of an attractive person than a non-attractive person.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably what to do with it. Yeah.
Probably what to do with it. We're getting a little bit of interference with your. We're getting a bit of interference with yours.
Okay, I'm using the Mac.
But don't worry about it. We'll get something sorted out on it. It'll click in a minute. Okay. Joseph, out of all of the street photographers, I think you've got your style is totally different, because I get the impression when you're out on the street, yeah, you take photographs of the people walking around, but your preference is more for cityscapes.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm more landscape, cityscape, buildings, objects. All on that. And also, I like to. Most of them I would do like the Evo HDR.
Yes, we're going to come to that when we do the screen share, because I think when you were using your previous Nikon gear, you were heavier into HDR work than you are now.
Yeah.
So let's get to Michael. We've had this conversation many times, Michael. What is it about street photography?
You know what? It's I think street photography is one of those things where it's often misunderstood, and people often confuse it for very much a point and shoot activity. We go out and just snap and see. It is far more than that, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why street photography got its hooks into me. I was sort of taken aback as to how much more of a challenge it actually is than I assumed it was before I went out. It's not just a case of pointing and shooting. There's so many elements to get within a frame to get the Holy Grail, which is an engaging photograph of something on the street. So, but we can talk about that in depth all day long. So, yeah,
of course we can.
That's what's addictive for me about street photography. It's a challenge, and it involves so many disciplines of photography, and I don't think people understand or appreciate that until they try it. Which is why we have these great street walkabouts, and people are quite shocked and also hooked. In the same way I was, people come back again for more and more. So.
Now you make a good point. Actual fact, getting that it's not about walking around the street just snapping away. It's actual facts. I think that's how we all start off, to be quite honest with you, but I think we get to a stage when we know there's a little bit more to it, and what we're looking for, trying to build that story into it.
Some people who don't necessarily give a lot of thought to their photography may sort of see this as quite cheesy, but I don't know, Valerie Jardin talks about it a lot, but it's seeing photographically. I think Peter alluded to it there, that I'll often walk around as well and just not take a picture. But even when I'm walking around without the camera, I often look at things like, oh, that'd be great, that'd be fantastic. I see someone's face and think, finally I had the camera. And I think as photographers, as visually stimulated people, this is why street photography is such a great discipline or great niche, or whatever you want to call it, to get into, because wherever you are on the street, there's always something, someone, or a scene to photograph, a story to tell.
I think discipline is the correct word in actual fact with regards to it. Not discipline as regards to how and why you take the photograph. It's a discipline as regards to the whole genre of photography. Let's mix it up a little bit here. Let's get back. We'll basically start. Peter, you said, have you only been taking photographs for 5 years? Is that right?
My father always was into photography. He developed his own films, etc. And I remember my first camera was a Kodak Brownie many years ago. But I finally took the plunge and bought a Canon 7D. And then converted to Fuji after that. Really taking it seriously the past 5 years.
5 years. You cut out when you said you bought the Canon 7D. When was that? I
think it was in 2011 sometime.
Okay. So
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
digital photography had been going well at least 10 years by then, if not longer in some cases. But so you were quite a late convert to
Yeah, I
digital
just had like
photography.
a small point and shoot really.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joseph, how
Yeah.
about
So
yourself? When did what was your first recollection of a camera?
Well, I have a camera in the very early stage. Like most of them is a point and shoot. I have a film camera as well,
Mm.
because my uncle is very into it, photography. I remember he always used me as a model when I was child anyway,
Mhm.
and he went to dark room. I went with him as well. It's sort of I've been modeling it all the time. Anyways, I have hundred photo when I was child anyway, and then I always go into point and shoot anyway from a film, and then I think the first one I got is a Konica.
All right.
Yeah. Then I move on to the first digital camera point and shoot is a Fuji.
Yeah.
Then I moved to another Canon. I can't remember the model number. Until 4 years ago, I got my first DSLR, which is the Nikon D7000.
Yeah.
Which is from that point I start taking the photography serious
Mm.
up to now. And for just for this year, I have moved on to the Fuji gear.
Yeah.
I mean, all my Nikon gear have been sold now anyway, so
Yeah.
100% with Fuji.
It's amazing how many people have done that, and just for the record, I was a big Nikon user, and I know the D7000 series of cameras are very, very good.
Mm.
But we'll talk about the Fujis later.
Yeah.
Katie, when was your? Let's come to you. When was your first recollection of a camera?
Oh, I think probably the little ones you used to buy from the shop.
Oh
You
yeah,
used to shoot those things. So probably used those when I was a kid.
Mhm.
And then just kind of lost track of photography really for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And then when I was I moved to London about 15 years ago, and I started to get back into photography again. And I had a Canon 300D film camera, and I did a City and Guilds for a year, and developing, the photographs in the darkroom for the first time. Completely bowled over by the whole experience.
Yeah.
And I think I just fell in love with it right there and then.
Yeah.
And then about 7 years ago, I got my first digital camera, which was, I think it was a 400D Canon. And I just took that around the world, really, and just, wore it down. And then 2 years ago, I bought my 6D, which I've still got.
Okay.
And I love it. So, yeah, it's been about 15 years I've been taking pictures.
Now, I'm not, never have been a Canon user. To follow what Canon numbers, you say 6D, is that a crop camera or full frame?
It's full frame.
Full frame camera, yeah. I know Michael was a Canon user, and of course, I'm going to cut. There's no need for me to talk about the equipment that you got used to and started with, Michael, because we've had that conversation before. But now you're well into the Olympus OND range of cameras.
Well, just quickly, I would point out that actually for those people who haven't heard, I think it's episode 6 I was on of this show for you. I actually, when I got back into photography seriously, the first camera I actually picked up was a mirrorless. It was a Sony NEX3.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
Yeah, so I've actually sort of come full circle. I've actually used more mirrorless cameras than I have DSLRs. So that was sort of 6 or 7 years ago. And I was going to Paris, and I didn't want to appear like a tourist, so I picked up a Sony NEX, which had no EVF, no viewfinder, it was just LCD at the back, interchangeable lenses. And when I came back, I really liked my pictures, but I thought, okay, I want more. So back then, the natural progression was to go DSLR, so I picked up a Canon, I think it was a 550D or a 500D, liked it, got really good, picked up a 7D, used it for all sorts of things for many, many years, fell in love with the EM5, fell in love with it so much that the Canons have long gone with all of my exotic glass, and I now own a handful of OMDs and a vast array of Olympus lenses, I should say.
So this is going to now apply to everyone, probably apart from Katie. Why the switch? Why did you switch from Canon to Olympus? Michael.
Yeah. I'm still here. For me, I enjoy the process as much as the end results using the Olympus camera. So when I picked up the EM5, it was just after the birth of our second child, my little son, and it became very cumbersome to drag a DSLR around when we had two pushchairs and two changing bags and two children, So I wanted something small, but of course I wasn't really prepared to go back as far as a point and shoot. I would still wanted interchangeable lenses, and I still wanted a viewfinder. You know, I wasn't prepared to go sort of that strip back. So the EM5 was the first sort of, well, it was the camera I fell in love with. I did try the Fuji X100S, but I wanted interchangeable.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it. The focus speed was accuracy, black and whites come out beautifully. The lenses are the smallest of most of the mirrorless lenses, I'm sure you'll agree. So for me, it's sort of the size was my main motivator for looking at it. But as I owned it in that sort of 12 or 8, I can't remember how long I owned it, but I owned both systems, Canon and Olympus, side by side for about a year. And even though it was only, quote unquote, the EM5, which is a contrast detect, no phase, nothing like that, only a contrast auto detect sensor, I found it creeping more and more into my workflow for weddings, portraits, christening, all those good things, engagement shoots. And again, like I say, I enjoyed the process more because of the EVF. I could actually see what I'm actually about to capture. And also the end results, the lovely, it's got just under 13 stops of dynamic range, and it's also far sharper than my Canon ever was as well. And that goes for my 85mm, my 70-200, the works so sharp. So there you go. I fell in love with it, ditched the Canon.
That's right. That's the reason. And actual fact, because we talk quite regularly about photography and all sorts of stuff, and I remember you saying that you're going to start using it for your wedding photography, which you do. And there's loads of people out there now using these mirrorless cameras for that type of work. I think you know a couple yourself, Michael, and the one that obviously springs to mind for me is Kevin Mullins with using the Fuji X100S and now T and the XT1. Why? Let's ask Peter, because Peter, you used the X Pro one. Why did you switch your gear to the Fuji?
Like Michael, the weight issue was a big thing.
Yeah.
The camera, a few lenses, like the it's no fun carrying it around really. And basically the X Pro one looked cool, so that's why I bought it.
Yeah, and also this point I'm making, they were talking about, can I use the term semi-pro work? You use the X Pro one for that work as well, don't you?
I do, yes, yeah. In fact,
I've asked this question before. Do you have any problems with? I know Michael doesn't, but see, one thing we got to remember is Michael's Olympus is 4/3, which is 2 times crop, and the Fuji is 1.5 crop. Have you had? And Michael hasn't had this issue, I'd hasten to add. But have you had any problems with image quality for printed work and for published work?
Not at all. I mean, for the web, I mean, it's perfect, but I do my prints mainly 11 by 14 inches.
Yep.
For a portfolio, and they come out really good. Yep.
It's ideal.
No quality issue at all.
No. Yep. It is amazing how these sensors have slowly developed, because gone are the days where they used to say, well, if you want a decent A3 print, you've got to have a full frame camera. And of course now that's not the case anymore. How about yourself, Joseph? Because I remember the first time we met, you had that Nikon D7000.
Yeah.
And then and then you switched. Why did you switch? Don't you blame me now?
No, well, you're part of it. You forced me to. You remember? No, I think I got the D7000 about 2011. They gradually move on until I think under 2013, over like just about 3 years, and that. So I start thinking about during that time I'm taking that photography quite seriously. So I thought what I'm going to do next, whether full frame or what's going on. So I start looking around all the different cameras. Anyway, by that time, I want to be more. I want to be serious to have more gears. Anyway.
Yeah.
But the trouble is that currently, you know me, I always, most of the time I carry about 2 to 3 lenses with me, with a full-size tripod, due to nature of the photography I'm doing anyway. So my bag is always have work. It's quite heavy, 7 kilo with me all the time.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So, and then, around 2013, there's lots of mirrorless camera come up to the market. Especially there's the Sony and the X7.
Yeah.
When they coming up, and I thought, oh well, is it the time, on that? So I'm sort of thinking about, well, maybe going to a smaller body. I never shoot in a full frame anyway. I always use the APS-C sensor, so I've never found when I'm moving to a full frame any big advantages.
No.
About the noise issue, most of the time it will be on the tripod anyway. So I won't have a lot of handheld issue for that. Until I know you introduced about Fuji talking about it, and then
Yeah.
I think it's the XT1. When the
Yeah.
XT1 came out, I thought, oh, well, okay, that is look very serious camera anyway. So
Mm.
I do a lot of study for that, and finally I think, well, I decided, yeah, we're going to try for that one anyway.
Yeah.
But I haven't regretted since anyway. It's such a wonderful camera.
Yeah. It's I think really when you look across the board, really, all these mirrorless cameras are good. Let's not send the Panasonics, the Lumix range, GH4, GH3, GH4. They're all getting rave reviews. The Sony A7, lovely cameras. They're doing the great road for the full frame. I think they've still got a problem with the lens stable. That's a personal comment from my issue. And then of course you've got the Fujis, and they're all, and the Olympus, sorry, and then all those grouped together, they do give the photographer a very good lightweight option of a camera to use away from the DSLR. And now we come to Katie, who's still sticking, and I can understand why, and I'd like you to explain why, Katie, because I think it's important. We were saying this just before the show. You've got a future plan laid out for yourself, a project which you want to develop. So for the time being, it looks as though you're going to stay with DSLR.
Yeah, I think so. It makes sense to carry on going on that journey. But that's not to say that potentially I could get an XT1 or something just for personal projects. And I think that's where I can start to develop a bit of knowledge of the camera and maybe fall in love with it and then move over to that eventually. But for the moment, right, I have to stick with what I know until I get up and running, and then I become comfortable switching maybe at a later date.
Yeah, I think that's a very wise decision, Grant. There's no point if you're looking to develop into a career and you're comfortable with what you got. Let's be honest, these cameras are tools. They're tools for the jobs that we do, whether it's as a hobby like myself and Joseph, semi-pro like Michael and Peter, and hopefully semi-pro like yourself, Katie. I think it's important that you know the tool you're using rather than buying it because everyone else has got it. I'm buying another lens because, oh, he's got a 50mm, I want a 50mm.
Absolutely. I mean, when this all sort of came about in the last year or so, and I know a lot of people who have switched over to the Fuji system, a lot of people. And it just seemed to be so. I was so tempted. I really was tempted, but I talked myself out of it, and that's the reason. I just thought, no, I don't want to jump ship just yet.
No.
I'm really sensible about this. But you know, that's something I could do in a year's time, 2 years' time.
Yeah. And as we said just before the show started, there's no reason if you're going to go on a short break, and you don't want to be lugging around your Canon gear. You can hire out a camera. You can hire out an X100S.
One thing I absolutely hate is taking all my gear on holiday.
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly.
I think there's often a draw to try and be fashionable, and that is to perhaps go mirrorless because a lot of people are doing it. But very much as Paul said, it is a tool, and it's great to follow the crowd if that's what you want to do. But if at the end of the day you get to a job or a commission and that camera that you've bought, whether it be a mirrorless or not, doesn't do the job, then you've made a mistake. And in the photography industry, the way it is at the moment, if your tools aren't up to the job, it's not going to do you any favors in terms of reputation or future business. So you really need to make sure the tools are up to the job. I know a lot of people are declaring the DSLR is dead. I personally don't believe or agree with that, even though I am a mirrorless enthusiast myself. But to be honest with you, that's not to say if Canon or Nikon or Pentax or whoever it was released a DSLR with a compelling reason for me personally to switch back, I wouldn't just say no, I'm mirrorless and nail my colours or my sort of flag to that mast. I would never rule out moving back to DSLR. It's just at this point in time, Olympus make a range of cameras and lenses that I really enjoy and really suit my shooting style. So
yeah, you make a very good point actually, because this does crop up quite a few times in the conversations I have. The amount of people that say they're using mirrorless, Fuji, Sony, but if, for argument's sake, Canon and Nikon were to make a quality, decent, full-frame camera rather than the, let's be honest, the ones they've been mucking about with, there's a lot of guys that would switch back to those because of the lens stable that those cameras have. Now, interestingly enough, we had a chat about this. I don't know, I had quite a number of people respond to a chat that I opened up, and it was all about basically the technological problem is the distance of lens to the sensor. So we'll wait and see how this develops out. But yeah, I think Canon and Nikon are basically mucking about with potential innovations which photographers don't see. They look at the mirrorless market and say, that's innovation, that's Sony, that's great what they're doing, that's great what Fuji are doing, and it's superb what Olympus are doing as well. And the advantage, obviously, of the Olympus camera is the fact you've just got such a wide selection of lenses from all the other 4/3 manufacturers. So that's an interesting conversation, and it won't stop. You know, you'll continue to get the guys saying, I still want my DSLR because I want to do sports photography. I think it's a good time for them to... Sorry.
I remember almost took me 12 months research before I decided to move to the mirrorless anyway, because I see all the options to think about. Well, it's quite a big investment as far as I see it. Yeah, so, and also you want some future proof as well, so you have to take your time to knowing it anyway, rather than just say, well, it's a trend now, everybody use the mirrorless, and then you say, oh, I'm going to jump on the boat and discover that it's not suitable for you.
No, you make a good point there, actually, Joseph. It's the end result, and you need to see that end result. If you are a photographer that prints your work, it's different when you're putting something on the web, as we all know. You can put a tiny image up on the web and it looks great. If you're printing your work, you need to know what the result is, and from that you need to know what type of camera will produce that print for you. And if you're into sort of doing 16, it's because I've been talking to too many Americans, 16 by 20. If you're talking about A4s and A3 prints and bigger, then you've got to make sure you've got the right tool for the job.
I'm not sure how much
the
you want
kind of thing.
Sorry. No, go on.
With what I was talking to you about, Paul, about doing the fine art conceptual work.
Yeah.
Where I think, you know, where I'm going to make money and where I'm going to get my business going is by doing really large-scale prints for people. Yeah. You know, works of art, you know, whatever you want to call them. And so yeah, I need to know that when I print them up that size, they're going to look amazing.
Yeah, exactly right. You don't
gallery as well. If I want to get my work exhibited, it needs to be of a really high standard. So
they need to be high standard. Exactly right. I think it's a good time to go to screen share.
Can I just make one last point, Paul? Is that okay? It's on the subject of printing. I'm not sure how far you want to take this conversation in that direction, but one thing that I think that people misunderstand when it comes to printing is it's not the same as viewing an image on screen.
Very true.
You can zoom in and you can pixel peep. If you want to do that, wonderful. However, there is such a thing as a recommended viewing distance for a print. So, for example, if a print is a 24 by 30, you take the diagonal distance of that print, you multiply it by 1.5, and that is how far back from a print you should stand.
Yep.
So regardless of whether you're shooting with a medium format or a 16 megapixel micro four thirds, you are supposed to stand a certain distance back from it. And iPhone or Apple have done a big campaign recently where it says shot on iPhone, and they have these huge 60-foot billboards. I was in Dubai recently on one of these billboards. It was visible from half a mile away, and it was still big. But that's the point. It was from that distance away. I'm sure if I pressed my nose up against that print, the pixels would be the size of golf balls. You know,
exactly right.
Supposed to view a print. So I think there's a large misconception there. But one other thing as well is on one perfect resize.
Yep. And, on one perfect resize, exactly. I was going to say that actually as an absolute superb program. Amazing what you can produce from that. But interesting point you say about acceptable viewing distances as well. I went to the Ansel Adams exhibition down at Greenwich. When was that? 3 years ago, 4 years ago? And I remember seeing a guy looking at the print. And now these are massive prints, absolutely enormous prints. He was looking at it from 2 foot away. And he turned around to me and he says, "It's a little bit grainy, isn't it?" And I said, stand about 100 yards back and then look at it again.
Yeah. I think
I'm actually going. Sorry.
No, go on, Katie.
Go on, Katie.
On Saturday, I'm going to see Kirsty Mitchell's Wonderland exhibition at the Mead Gallery in Mayfair, and she's had her prints done 1 meter by 1 meter.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see those. I mean, we showed them online with a little bit of a video footage of a real, really close up, and they looked unbelievable. So I can't wait to go with that.
Interesting one. Are you going to see that on Saturday, yeah?
Yeah.
I was thinking about going to Somerset House. There's an exhibition on there actually. I forget what it is showing, but I think I might go to the Somerset House on Saturday for that.
One last thing I'd say as well, Paul, is that I interviewed David Duchemin, and he said that if people notice the noise or the grain in your photograph, the photograph isn't good enough.
Yeah. There you go. That's the nail on the head. At that point, we'll screen share and look at our images. Well, we're going to look at your images, not mine.
Don't say the noisy ones.
Yeah, I've ducked out of this one.
Get my magnifying glasses ready.
Yeah, exactly right. Get your magnifying glass out and. So. Here we go.
Me first.
Yeah, I thought I'd let me. I always forget to do this. I've done this so many times. I forget to do it. So what we're going to do? Yeah, Michael first.
Okay.
So I think what we just do is just generally talk away with regards to the image. What did you see? What were you thinking of doing? Why did this attract you? Off you go, Michael.
I like there.
Go ahead.
I like the fact that it says 18, and he's an old guy. And
Yeah.
when the fun stops.
Yeah. So yeah, this one was very much a fortune kind of incident. There's a huge misconception. And again, I'm sorry to keep throwing the brand out there, but there is a huge misconception that Olympus cameras or Micro Four Third cameras don't have very good high ISO capability. And once or twice a week, I work in London. So in January, February, when I was coming back from the office to get to the station, it would be pitch black. So I'd walk a certain route that would take me through Chinatown, which is where this photograph was, and it was pitch black. So this is probably ISO 5000, ISO 6400, I can't remember. But I saw the guy outside the betting shop. I saw the light above him illuminating the smoke, and I thought, oh, wonderful. And he was there for quite a while. So I took quite a few frames of him, including the bit where it says when the fun stops and the number 18 and that sort of thing. He just carried on smoking. So I just, as anyone who's sort of photographed smoke or done one of those smoky experiments before has done, I wanted the smoke to sort of appear thick enough to be evident. So that's the result I've got here. I've shot it and cropped it square. I think something I want to do more is use square crop to make really sort of the features inside the frame stand up on their own. So like you say, when the fun stops, 18, the smoke, of course the sort of dark scene as well. It's quite seedy, with the worn down door and that sort of thing. So
I think this is a classic example of someone seeing a shot. Many people would just walk past, but there's so many different elements involved with this image. Not only the guy smoking, but as you say, all those elements in the shot with regards to the references to fun and to age limitation. It's so great. Yeah, it was shot at 3200 ISO, 1/80th of a second at f2.8 on the 24mm lens.
Feel free to
Which is
put your
equivalent of 48, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. I think it's maybe got sort of plus 15 or plus 20 noise reduction as well. But I usually Martin Bailey technique. I'm sure other people use it too, but that's how I've come to know it, is exposed to the right, where I purposefully overexpose, if you want to call it that. Again, sort of by half or third a stop, often a stop if I have to. And with it being so dark, what that does is it adds details into the shadow, which you can then bring back down in post. Have we still got Paul on the line?
I'm still here.
Okay, there we go.
Don't know what actually happened there. That was a weird one.
Just want to talk something bad about him. He's back.
Yeah, I'm back. I don't know what's actually happened here actually, because I got myself twice here. Oh God.
So one is the evil twins then.
So what we're going to do here, if I disappear offline, I'll be back.
All right, Arnie.
Yeah, exactly.
The Google Gremlins again.
Well, I'm still there. You ain't got rid of me yet. So let me get the screen share back up.
I'll go through these ones quicker now.
Yeah. Taken in London again. So that is yours, isn't it, Michael?
It's definitely mine, yeah, and definitely London, yeah. Again, just sort of walking down on my sort of walking or foot commute back to the station, spotted the frame, reflective tiles on the left and right there, sort of spreading out towards me. use the arch to frame it, and slow the shutter down. Again, Paul, you've got the EXIF there, you'll probably tell me, but it's a very slow shutter speed. That's thanks to the Olympus OMD EM1, I think this was. In-body stabilization, it's what, 1/15th, 1/30th or something?
1/15th of a second at f2.2 on a 25mm. ISO 4000.
And that's handheld as well, so
yeah,
1/15th of a second. Yeah, again, just wanted to get the blur really, just to sort of show busy commuters. But I'm more interested in the kind of natural vignette that's occurring from the Hall of Light, really. So. Yeah.
And another thing which you're developing here, you're doing a lot more mono work than you are to color work, yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Nearly all of my work is mono. So.
Yeah. I think I was with you when you took this photograph at Liverpool Street Station.
This was Liverpool Street Station. Yeah, it was a beautifully lit station. I remember talking about the view. It's really, if you're in London and you're in London at night, Liverpool Street Station is a great place to go. It's nice and bright.
Yeah.
But rule of three here. These guys sitting on the benches. Yeah. It's rare people in London sit on seats next to each other. They always leave a seat apart between them. But all doing something different, and I quite like that. So I sort of got in front of them, got down to sort of eye or head level, and just took this one here. Left a little bit of the sign in behind them to sort of give a bit of context, and there we go.
Yeah.
I love the fact that none of them have noticed you at all.
That's right. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. I was I think this was a 25mm, so I think I was quite close, but I got in quite close with this one.
I remember you saying that. It's funny enough because I was literally right next to you, and I went to take a photograph of a young lady walking towards me, and she ducked her head straight away. So that's what happened.
It's that big old Fuji camera.
Oh,
that was a low shot.
God. That is a bit naughty for that. Kick him out.
Yeah. You make me so lonely, baby. I get so lonely, I could die. Lines from a photo.
Sorry, go on.
Where was this? This is Venice.
This is Venice, yeah, it's Venice. So I'd been dying to really get out and walk at sunset. But we sort of never really did. My wife and I would walk and then lunch and then walk and then dinner. And one evening we agreed that, okay, we'll have a late dinner tonight and I'll go for a walk at sunset. So my wife went for an afternoon nap, which she loves her sleep. And I went out in Venice on a weekend break with my wife by myself, which was wonderful. I managed to get a great selection of photographs. Unfortunately, being black and white, what this doesn't show is the sunset, but I think the black and white just sort of gave it a bit more impact. But yeah, this young lady was sitting there, she was writing in her diary, she got a little beer bottle next to her. I initially did sort of shoot straight down at her back to sort of more really isolate the words, but I actually like the her jacket on the ground and the beer bottle next to her showed. So there we go.
It's interesting what you've done here because you and I both know Valerie Jardin very well, Michael, and she always said to me, when you're taking a photograph and there's text involved, 9 times out of 10 it's better in mono than it would be in colour.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good example of it because even the Moretti beer bottle, you got the text showing nicely there as well.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So, and 2 lovers here.
Yeah, you know what? I know it's my work, but that's a photograph I'm really proud of for quite a few reasons, really. Initially, my friend Neil Graham and I were photographing the guitarist you see there in the background. This is Leicester Square in London, and I was trying to sort of get some context. So I was using these guys here as my foreground element. I was standing right behind them, right on their shoulder, and my camera was clicking away, and I guess she heard it. So she looked back at me, and I thought, oh, I'll take another one. And I got this one. And I actually got 2 or 3 before she turned around again and just ignored me. But I love the way that she's got that very kind of nonchalant look on her face, very relaxed pose on him. He's holding her. And again, the story is that they're watching in front of them. So, yeah, I like this one. And I quite like the light as well. It was a cloudy day, but it was a bright cloudy day. So it's nicely lit as well, I think.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, if I can, on this particular image alone, I'm just going to go to the develop module, and I know I would hasten to add these images which Michael sent through to me are at 1024 square, but I just want to show you something here. Now, that's a little bit unfair. That's at 8 times what Michael sent through to me. That's at 4 times. But bearing in mind this image, and I think that's fantastic quality. It's just, it's pixelated, let's be honest. But you've got to remember, this image that Michael sent to me was 1024 square. So I think that just goes to show you the quality of
I
the
think
Olympus equipment.
it's also a 300 or 400 meg file, not meg, sorry,
Exactly
kilobyte
right.
file as well. It's not very big. If you look at it, sort of a 5 or 6 meg file, it's even
Yeah.
clearer. The
Yeah.
one, because this features in my portfolio over my website, and
Yeah.
I've got it cropped slightly differently to this one,
Yeah.
which I think works a bit better. But yeah, it is a clear picture, even when
Yeah.
you're trying.
It's lovely, lovely image. Lovely image. Thanks, Michael. Thanks for those, because it's a really nice selection of images of what I would term pure street photography, and I don't say that to belittle other work. Let's go to. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Peter first. Peter, you're still with us?
I am indeed. I'm not falling asleep. Yeah.
Oh, you haven't fallen asleep. No,
Yeah.
we had some difficulty hearing you earlier on. Now, talk me
Okay.
through some images here, Peter, because there's some modelling aspects coming in here. Would you term these as natural street photography, or have you arranged for some modelling here?
Yeah. Okay. Now this is a friend of mine. She's an American model. We did about shoot around Mayfair, Knightsbridge, Buckingham Palace, Tower of
Right.
London. Sorry, Elsa Palm. It's in front of
Mhm.
Buckingham Palace. She made the headscarf herself out of a flag,
Lovely.
and luckily the guy in the army gear just walked into the shot, which I thought made it a little bit different.
That's right, it does. Yeah.
And people were queuing up to get her autograph, thinking she's she's been on America's Next Top Model, but yeah, she's about 6 foot tall.
It's like that time we were shooting Jasmine Lambrecht, and everyone thought that, well, who is she? There's a fantastic
That's right. Yes.
coming in from
Yeah.
America. I said,
Yeah,
please
yeah.
everyone around, and everyone was taking iPhone shots of her, and said, I don't recognise her at all. Who is she?
That's it. Yeah.
You're like
So almost said it.
you're like me, Peter. You like red in your photographs.
I do. I prefer colour actually than
Yeah.
black and white. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
This was on the photo walk with Michael
Yeah.
outside
Oxford
Pret.
Street. Oxford Street.
Yeah,
No, Strand.
No,
Mm.
I think we were all in the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Strand, yeah, it is Strand.
And I
I
just
like
stone focused
And
on
yeah, I can see it up the top.
onto the sign
Yeah.
and just away from the hip really as people went through the shot. And the light on this guy really like made him pop.
Just made him pop. Yeah.
I like the comparison between him and the guy with the bigger guy with the gap
That's
on
right.
his top.
Well,
Yeah. Let's go to the next one. I like this shot. He's got some concerns on his face here, and again the light catching his face. Is this around the same sort of area, Peter, around where the guys were having coffee at the time? Yeah. I think
Peter's gone.
Peter's gone. Has he dropped off? I can't see.
but
He's there.
I like
Now, Peter, are you there?
Yeah.
What did you do with this
I am.
image? Yeah, I can
Hello?
hear you fine. What did you do with this image?
Okay, this was taken in Margate
Yeah.
outside the gallery, and basically that's as it was. It was a very drab day, and those chairs were just stacked as they are,
Mm.
and it really popped out into the frame. A bit of processing, but not very much.
Now, I would have thought that you've desaturated a little bit in the background and
No, I think that's
saturated the reds and the yellows and the blues.
might have
Just
boosted it a little bit, but as you see the bolts in the background there, they're still quite
Yeah,
red
that's
and
right.
blue.
Yeah, they've got some colour there, yeah. Nice set of images. The final one, this makes me laugh. When I saw this come through, I thought this is sexy for you. This, you see, this to me sums up a good eye for street photography. Got the 4 beautiful girls behind. I don't wish to sound sexist here, Katie. And then 4 beautiful girls behind, and you got this lady in front with a cigarette, and a suitcase.
Brilliant.
It's well spotted, Peter. Well spotted.
The only thing I'd say about this one is I think perhaps the eyes of a gentleman may be
This was
drawn
in-
elsewhere.
Oh,
The eyes of the gentleman could be drawn a little bit higher, so to speak.
It's kind of
It's
a
a
pretty
great
sense
shot.
of humour for that.
I love it. Joseph, you're up next, and this now. This guy, as we walked past, he was really giving his all, wasn't he, with his bagpipes? And it's interesting you've done a diagonal shot here, corner to corner. Talk us through your images, Joseph.
I'm sort of still learning about the street photography for me, and I always have few rule. I somehow recently now I do a lot of shot diagonal like that anyway because I find it like will be more interesting.
Yeah.
I always set myself a little goal like recent time. I do a period of time on black and white. Now recently we will see a lot of diagonal shot because I just want to view things differently and see what happens. Because when I do my normal landscape, well, that is always straight, symmetrical, line by line for that. So I just want to be having fun. I thought, well, try that and then see what happens.
It's an interesting shot. It's something which it's interesting in the angle that you've done there because you've literally got the boats which is moored on the other side of the river directly corner to corner.
Yeah.
And the fella playing the bagpipes and he's taking up 2/3 of the image. It's a nice angle. I like it.
I crop it as well, of course, a little bit. I do like crop and processing, so I don't set up like I must having not cropping rule or anything anyway. So I like square crop.
Yeah.
I think it looks very nice anyway.
Okay. Let me just because Peter's just sent me a text. He's lost connection. So what I'm going to try and do is get Peter back if I can.
Yeah.
Do you want me to try and get Peter back so you can carry on?
Yeah, if you can, Michael.
I think he's back now anyway, is he? Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
should we keep talking while Peter rejoins?
Yeah, let's keep talking while we're doing that. Peter's offline now. Where are we at with the? I lost my Lightroom now. There it is.
Okay, well, Peter's trying to reconnect. Sorry, Joseph, can I just ask, this picture here of the bagpipe player, was this a recent one or an old one?
No, it's a recent one. The one we walk around on that day, that photo walk. It's I think he'd been taking so many pictures and then he get a little bit upset afterwards.
Yeah. He was on Westminster Bridge, Michaels. We walked over from the London Eye.
Yeah, he's usually there. I think I've got a shot of the same guy from a couple
He's
of years
always there
as well. Yeah.
He's always there.
But this is
the next one. This I think is clever. Or this is shot of our friend Benjamin.
Yeah. The way I like to approach, I know some people that I always have roughly the vision. When I see it, I want to take it. Yep. This is why sometimes it's successful, sometimes I don't. But when I see anything, we just I lift the camera and take it. And luckily, I got 2 or 3 pictures of this, and then I choose this one because I think I just like it anyway. The way he holding the camera, try to shooting, and then I just shoot behind him.
Yeah, Benjamin he's a good street photographer, Benjamin.
Very, very good. I saw him took some picture and then talk to the girls on that. I think the way he approached it is very, very good. It's not like the way he talked to the girl, just the whole thing, how he approached taking picture of a stranger.
Yeah.
I really do admire him. Say, wow, I could have never done that. I tell you.
No, he's again, he's got a. This is what I think you learn. We'll talk about this afterwards. Actually, what you do learn when you go out on the street walkabouts with other people, and you see how they approach individuals and how they work a street situation for themselves.
Well, Michael's the one that encouraged me on that first walk to go and ask someone if I could take a picture for the first time. I'd never done it before, and now and after that one time, I've always just gone up to people. Now it doesn't bother me anymore.
No, it's once you cross that line and you've done it once or twice. Yeah.
I've only had one person say no so far.
Yeah. And a no is not a bad thing, It's,
it's fine. I just said, it's fine, no worries.
Yeah. Now this is what I would term as Joseph's typical work. Street photography, using the parameters, shall we say, of what Lightroom can develop, because you mentioned earlier on. I just want to touch on this very briefly, Joseph. You've changed your style of editing a little bit more since you've switched to the Fuji. Is that right?
Yes. Well, I always enjoy the processing, you know. And this is another shot. This is a typical in my comfort zone. It's HDR, free bracketing shot. Anyway, it's a very typical. I'll probably do it, you know, day in day out for that. And I believe this one I'm using the new Lightroom CC, the photo merge, instead of using Photomatic, which is my program usually use. The result come out. I'm surprised anyway. I did use the photo merge before in the Photoshop, but which is I hate it because the process going back and forward, and now it just going straight come out. And because I always use a plugin. No matter what, after the processing, I always use a plugin. So it always pop up. I would think I can't really see, you know, the differences between two of them. I know some people say, oh well, the new HDR photo merge is not very good. It's only give you a highlight and shadow the dynamic range. It's unlike other HDR software. But once you're putting a plugin in there, I just don't, you know, really see, I really don't see it. It's just my usual work anyway.
Yeah, there's no EXIF data with this image. Can you remember basically what the setup was for the camera on this? I'm assuming, being a night shot, there wasn't any filters involved here.
No, there's no filter. I think this is a typical, like I say, it's a bracketing shot, -2, +2, and a normal shot. I think will be about within 30-second range because, oh no, that one is different. I'm using remote, so the first shot probably over a minute.
Yeah.
It will be over a minute, and then I will do the bracketing divided by and then will be 15 and a 4, something like that. I usually do that.
Yeah, I really like that shot. It's great, and I think this sky development here, you got a little bit of brightness here because of the bright lights from the Westminster, and then of course this pure black on the outside. Lovely shot. Moving on. This is the Atomium in Brussels. I recognise this. Bit of analog work here.
Yeah, well, for my reason, I always have a 10-stop ND filter with me all the time. I think I only have one filter, which is this one, and I use it most of the time anyway when I go, because when you go visit outside London, like this is like my trip to as my holiday, I can't really, sometimes I cannot choose the time, say sunrise, sunset, to stay there for that long. I think this is the day I return, so I only have an afternoon in there, which is I cannot wait until the sunset. So I'm using a filter to do the work to make the cloud move a little bit, and that, you know. So I enjoy it as well. It's just like, you know, when you go out traveling.
Yeah, it's a nice analog shot. I like the way the sky's developed and the little tinge of yellow you've got in it as well. It gives it that analog style. And finally, this is Blackfriars Bridge.
Yeah.
The old and the new.
Yeah, the old and the new are all together. Just this is by myself because I usually make sure myself go out once a week for shooting.
Sure. So
I sometimes go London or have places to go, and that was, I think 2 weeks ago with my friends. And I see that I thought, oh wow, it's good. This is another handheld bracketing, and then process the Lightroom CC. You know, I think that one is 100% on the Lightroom. I didn't use any plugin at all as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
fantastic parameters you have now on the on Lightroom. It's just amazing what you can achieve. Lovely shots, not mine. Joseph. That's not yours, no. Thanks for sharing those, Joseph. It's really good because it's a different style to street photography. This is Katie's work, and well, someone who's supposedly new to street photography, and I've got to say, Katie, pretty damn good.
Thank you.
I've got a rough idea on what you've done here. Let's talk through your images.
Okay.
Cameron, obviously, tell me what you've done here.
I've got my 2470 Tamron on there.
Yeah.
On a tripod. It was January, so it's about 8 o'clock at night, so it's quite dark. And this is the tunnel down nearby Shakespeare's Globe.
I'm with you, yeah, I know it well.
One goes under the bridge there.
Yeah.
And a lot of I was on a different photo walk with some local photographers from St Albans, and we'd all gone in on the train, and they were all actually situated in that, just by the tunnel, taking pictures of a musician. And I just sort of like wandered back a bit, and I noticed how the tunnel light was coming out towards me. And I thought, I wonder if I do like if I zoom in on my lens, what'll happen? So I just started mucking about with it, really. And I took a few shots, and I was just lucky enough to get that guy in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And I thought, yeah, that's the shot, that's the one. And editing-wise, I didn't do too much. Just toned down some of the colours. I'm a little bit the opposite to Peter. From what he was saying before about loving the colour and making it snap. I'm more of a toned down kind of person.
You like a little bit muted.
Yeah, muted. A bit more sort of. I don't know whether it's the artistic background that I've got, that I like things to look more like a painting, if that makes sense. And then I've got recently bought Alien Skin software,
Right.
which is absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't got it, it's amazing. And I went in, I think I put one of the film presets that they've got on there, or the old film on there, and I used one of those. Might have been something like Kodak color fade, and then and then I used they have in there lots of different techniques where you can go in and add various kinds of blur, movement. So just kind of emphasise the zoom, really, a little touch, just to get it to where I wanted it to be, and the end result. So
nice image. I really like that. I must be honest, I really like this image. This one makes me laugh because I remember when I first saw it on Facebook, it reminded me of the cover of Street Photography book.
Yeah, I call them the Covent Garden Mafia.
Again, this is classic Street, because you're spotting something and you're seeing it, and you've made a very, very nice image from it.
Well,
not a lot of processing here. Hello.
I think he's frozen.
Is she gone?
I guess it's not many processing then.
Yeah.
I really like this. It's got lots of elements that really make this work.
It's really good, isn't it?
It's very good, very nice anyway. The depth of field.
Is Katie frozen up?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
The Gremlins.
The Gremlins again fire away, don't they? So,
should we come back to them?
Is she back? No.
I'm not sure.
You send a message, Mike.
Oh, I certainly can. I'll get onto that now. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll tell you what. While she's off the line, because I know she's been doing street photography for a little while. She's not totally new to it, but this image here, when I saw it, now I've taken a photograph of this fella, but I've taken it from the front side, and I think this is a very clever eye, a very clever view, because we know exactly how the guy's doing it. Let's not fool ourselves. He's not doing any fantastic feat, but by taking this image, everyone, you can see the guys are looking. Yeah, they're nicely blurred in the background there, nice and sharp image of the guy doing his performance, and it just tells a beautiful story. Beautiful story. Look at the guys taking the photographs. One with the iPad, one with the phone. And everyone's looking.
As you said as well, Paul, he's there all the time in Covent Garden. Hundreds and thousands of people have photographed him. But what Katie seems to have the eye for is something different as well.
Exactly right.
It's the same with the pins. It's the same with the zooming on the very first.
Yeah.
You've really got an eye.
Maybe even a start to crop on it.
Yeah, exactly. But also, there's other things in there as well. Nice use of depth of field here as well to obviously sort of separate, to give depth to the image.
Yeah.
Because the horizontal line sort of that runs through the middle of the image is straight. If you want to call it a horizon, go for it. But it's straight and not wonky, which can really sort of damage and ruin an image. And also the fact that everyone else in the background are taking pictures of this way, it sort of shows that Katie is doing something opposite to everyone else, which I think is brilliant. Really, really impressive.
Yeah, no, I quite agree with you.
It's a clever work, very nice anyway.
Yeah, Katie's trying to get back online. I don't know, he's got some atmospheric problems, I think, tonight. Let's look at the next one of Katie's, and this is the ladies are deciding what to go and eat. The fellas are looking down the road for another restaurant. Perhaps it's a little bit cheaper down the road, girls.
I think this one.
Again, telling a story
yeah.
and.
I'm back.
Is that the same guy, Mike?
Well done, Katie. Don't worry. I think what makes me laugh about this image
I know.
is the fact you got these two looking at the menu.
Yeah.
The two fellas are looking down the road because they think they've seen a restaurant which is probably cheaper. And right in the background, you got the word Pope.
Yeah, that's what I saw. That's what made me laugh.
And you think to yourself, that's so cute. That's well spotted.
Yeah, they were stood there for a good couple of minutes. They didn't move,
Yeah.
so I thought, all right, I can get this shot. I can kind of take my time a little bit. But yeah, I mean, the expressions on the guys' faces just made me laugh so much.
Yeah,
They couldn't have less interest,
I think we should try that restaurant down the road. There's a pub down the road, aren't there? That's where they want to go.
I think as well, they probably went in for just fish and chips at the end of all that, didn't they? You know what they're like. You can see a little picture of a fish above the first man's head. They probably just went in for something classic.
Can I just point out as well? I don't know if anyone's noticed, but me, the guy with the flat cap is the same guy that we saw earlier.
Yes,
Peter. The guy in my shot, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same guy. He's got the cane.
Yeah.
Maybe the other shot that Peter took after this one.
I did see that.
I've had enough.
So they're actually following us anyway.
Just moving on to the last one now. I took something similar to this, not straight on as Katie's done, and again, it just shows what a great photographer's eye. Because look at the detail in the gondolas. And how many photographs have we seen with the complete London Eye, whether it's in a circle form, oval form, or something, but not like this, not bang straight on as if it's a pillar. It's very well thought out. How much of this was cropped, Katie?
Not much.
No. I remember seeing you. I was taking some photographs of the pylons on the bridge we were standing at, and I remember watching you take some photographs here. I took one similar, with just slightly sort of like almost like a 45-degree angle of the London Eye, and fun enough, produced exactly the same image, but yours is different in this straight column, straight up. Beautiful shot. Love it.
Thank you.
Needs to go on the wall, that one.
Yeah.
Get that one on the wall.
I will.
So I'm going to try an attempt to come out of screen share. There we are, we're back. So all in between that, who's ever's one, we still got a couple of guys watching, which is really great. So thank you for joining us. Peter dropped off, went away, came back, had to reboot. Katie froze up and come back. Something happened with me. There was two of me for 1 minute. That must have been a frightening situation. So, but anyway, thank you so much for sharing your images with us and talking through not only why you took the image and what you were looking to do, but obviously the developing process, which I think is important for people that are watching the show to see what can be achieved now with this program. I don't know whether you watched last week. I was talking to Joseph Lenashki, who was a big Aperture ambassador, so to speak, mainly because he was involved with the development of Aperture, but and they were very much on a par, and it was just a case like it is Nikon or Canon. You pick one up and you go with the flow on that, and as we know, Aperture is no more. I've switched it to photos now in the Apple Studio, and long live Lightroom. It's an amazing tool. Getting pretty close to the length of time, obviously showing those images. I didn't want to stop people talking about the images because it's fascinating to say love all your work. I think the work you produce is fantastic, and the great selection of images that you showed, especially with the different type of cameras that we use, which goes to show that what can be achieved these days. Let's just briefly walk through, if you don't mind, future plans. I'm going to leave Katie to last because it's interesting. Peter, what's your future plans in photography?
Okay, I want to do some more model work. Not modeling, I mean taking pictures of models. The girl in the photograph, we're planning to go to Cartagena in Colombia.
Yeah.
So, street photography there.
Lovely. That's
the main one at the moment, yeah. Yep.
Joseph, you're fortunate enough to be going off to China soon for your business, but what's your...
I know.
I think the
So we
question was,
stop
what's your
now.
future in photography, Joe? Carry on.
Yeah, well, I set up a project now, which is I'm going to print out some of my work, which is I will do a 2-print book, and some photograph will be hanging on my wall as well. Anyway, so this is will be my mainly the project for this until the end of the year. And apart from that, I will be using a longer lens because I got recently just purchased the 18 to 135, which is already trying on the street photography using the 135, and to give a distance on that to take some different view anyway. I already have some work on there, but mainly I think this I want to do is printing anyway. I want to get on with it, print out some work, let more people to see my work.
It's interesting you mentioned that. I just want to show you something. Because I'm trying desperately to get back into printing as well. And can you see this book here, which is which I bought from Paper Chase. And what I've been doing, rather than spending money and getting it sent off to Blurb and getting it printed through that places, I've just been making my prints and just putting them straight into the book. And it becomes basically an opportunity for you to just show your work.
You mentioned it last time, yeah.
If it's a printed book, and so I've got a couple of smaller books that I'm putting together, just printing on A5 size paper, just to get me back into the printing idea. So certainly a lot cheaper doing it that way than spending £35–40 a time on a hardback printed book through Blurb. I'm being a little bit concerned as regards to how Blurb comes back with their print, because sometimes you do hear people say that they're a little bit on the dark side. Michael, what's your future plans in photography?
So for me, I'm kind of trying to get back on track, really. Last year, I sort of fell out of love with wedding photography, and as such, this year has seen a bit of a knock-on or a domino effect in that I've got fewer weddings booked. But I'm well and truly back in love with wedding photography now and what it is. So I'm trying to step that back up again. But I'm also looking at printing as well. I'm looking at an Epson P, I think it's an 800 to 17-inch wide printer. I want to start doing more of those. But in sort of trying to get myself back into wedding photography is one thing, but also the other thing I want to do is really start making a bit more of a community around the Ready Steady Pro, getting more walks organised, and that sort of thing as well. I've got a whole raft of things. I've pretty much got 3 strings to my bow, so Ready Steady Pro, weddings, and then my own sort of personal work, which is
that's lovely. Well. And your Ready Steady Pro group is fantastic. You've got a great following, and what I like about it is people are just chucking questions in. They have a bit of a problem with making contact with new customers and how they're going to develop their business, and there's always someone who's prepared to give an answer from your group. It's a great group that you've developed there. We've got some real connection problems here because twice I've lost connection with you guys, and we've missed the early parts of your projections and your plans. So there's no point in us going back now because I'm a bit concerned about losing future connection. But very briefly, Katie, your future plans, which I'm really excited for you, and I hope this really works out for you. Tell us quickly about your future plans.
Yeah, I'm looking to go into the fantasy conceptual genre, if you like, fine art pieces. And I've been on quite a few meetups over the last year with models, other photographers who are like-minded, some internationally known. So I'm just going to continue to go on those meetups to learn, to progress, and to develop my style further, and then set my own website up and get going with it, really. I'm still in 2 minds as to how I'm going to do that with clients versus using models and selling art online, or also maybe doing some kind of personal project where I'm using myself actually and just shooting self-portraits, which is quite a personal thing for me to do and a challenge also. But I really admire people like Brooke Shade, and I think she's phenomenal. So I'm going to follow her example, really.
Well, we had a long chat yesterday when we did a little test run, but I tell you, it was to hear what you're talking about and what you want to do. All power to you, and good luck with you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, I think we've lost him again.
So we lost him again, yeah.
Lost him again. Go on.
Yeah.
So now we can start talking about him now.
I've got
That
both
sounds
of them.
great,
I've got
yeah.
two of them now.
We've
Hello?
got
There's too many now, isn't it? This is really worrying. I think what we're going to have to do, unfortunately, is draw the show to a close. Trying to go mute on that one. There we go. I'm back. Yeah, it's a shame. I don't know. There must be some kind of interference that I'm experiencing in my local area here. So we're going to have to skip the final 2 bits. You know, your favorite photographer and that. And perhaps if you'd like to email me through your favorite photographer and the person who inspired you the most, and I'll put that in the in my blog afterwards. I think I better cut this show short because we keep losing connection. For those that have been able to stay through, thank you so much for watching the show. I hope you've enjoyed it. Talking to some very good friends that I've got to know on street walkabouts. And if you've ever thought about going on a street walkabout, why not? Just give it a try. You know, go on to Ready Steady Pro. Michael organises quite a few. I'm going to be trying to organise a few myself in the not too distant future. So hopefully, if you're in London or wherever we're going to set one up, you'll be able to join us. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Peter. And thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Well,
and as I always say at the end of my show, for anyone who's going out shooting this weekend, leave your camera bag at home. All the best to you. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
that includes you, Paul.
You missed it.
See you guys. Have a good one.
See you.
Yeah, all the
Yes.
best to you, Michael. See you. I don't know. It's disappointing we got cut off a number of times. Actually, it must be some interference
Bye.
around. So, yeah. See you soon. Bye for now, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.
Are we still here?
It's still live.
Alright, I think we should all just hang up now.
Yeah.
See you guys. I'm going to hang up. Have a good one. See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yep. Good luck. Bye.